In today's world, video is the most effective content. In 2021 alone, 80% of all content consumed by users was video. If today you don't make video about yourself, about your product, you're losing positions in your business. Afrique Today production invites you to create a video of any complexity. Are you an aspiring blogger, artist, musician, and you want to surprise your audience? Or are you an ordinary person and want to create a family story? Then our team will be able to create a video for you with unique quality, reported shooting, individual shooting, studio shooting, entertainment videos, corporate events. All this we can do for you in the best quality. Just call now and get a 30% discount at 571-612-0496. 571-612-0496. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. We are live every Sunday at 3 p.m. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV.
All right. Oh, can you hear me there?
I can.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And hello, and happy Friday. And I am so excited today. I want to welcome everyone to their regular Friday showing of The Voice of AAU, because we are the voice of AAU. I am your host, Dr. Yvette Butler-Yaboa, and I have a wonderful co-host today. As you know, my regular invisible man, it's Ramadan. So he is on vacation. So we are so excited to have Dr. Paul W. Dyer as our guest co-host today. So, I am really excited. So, I'm going to tell a little about Dr. Dyer, our co-host, and, you have to watch his show as well, because he has also a show called You Be the Judge. So let me tell you a little about my co-host today. And Dr. Dyer, thank you so much for being with us at this short notice as well. So Dr. Dyer is the host of You Be the Judge, and he has been teaching and training individuals in human performance on mental, emotional, physical advancement. Dr. Dyer has worked with top-tier businesses, professionals, to athletes, to Olympic athletes, increase their potentials. Dr. Dyer helps professional people understand the science in the energy of life. And he is also the chair of many committees and helps communities, individuals raise above different situations and circumstances, from homelessness, prison reform, and domestic violence. Now, I'm not going to go all into his career, because I want Dr. Dyer to tell us a little bit about himself. Dr. Dyer, could you tell us a little about yourself, and then we'll start our show up. But I'm so glad to have you here again with me today. Dr. Dyer, tell us a little bit more about you, and please, all the great things that you've done.
It's tough to do that. It is tough to do that, knowing that. And thank you for having me on Afrique Today. I'm so happy, Dr. Yvette Boa. I am very pleased of being here. What I have done is really combine the life sciences to understanding the science, and then the holistic of life and the medical of life. So I talk about and teach. I'm a neuroscience guy, so I have a master's in neuropsychology, neuroscience, neuroanatomy, and I also hold a master's in kinesiology. But I have 4 PhDs in health sciences and natural health and metaphysics, physics. So it's about learning how to live our life to the fullest. And a lot of people don't understand the science of life. They are misunderstanding. They do a lot of natural things, which is great, but they don't understand how it really affects the body, the organs, the tissue, and also through the emotional content. We know that what we think is what we are. We know that it's the food we put in our body is who we are. We know that the things we do and the people we're around actually affects what we are and who we are. But they don't know that it actually has transformations to your RNA, DNA, to your genetic input, to your chemical, your chemistry, and how it affects your organs. I put that together to an understanding. And also, I'm a political junket. So I'm a political analyst for a lot of things. So I just love life and love people. So thank you, Dr. Yvette.
Well, wait a minute. You didn't tell us about the Hall of Fame. Now, you're not
Yeah,
telling about the Hall of Fame. So you're a Hall of Fame inductee. So,
I am.
Yeah, so please tell us a little bit about that, Dr. Valerie.
I've been inducted into several halls of fame. I think I'm up to national, international, Chinese, Japanese Hall of Fame, African Hall of Fame with martial arts. I am a grandmaster in martial arts. I've been doing this for a very long time, and I have been privy to just be around some amazing, incredible human beings in my life, women and men who just taught me, teach me, and we have just joined as a family member. So I don't do this alone. I cannot do this without my wife. I cannot do this without my kids, and I cannot do this without the blessings of my great teachers and friends around me. So yes.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
And so we have a wonderful host with us today. So, because I could not do this alone, and I'm gonna tell you, I'm excited. Oh, and just one notice, I have to say that yes, I had members out there asking me to change my earrings.
Really?
So I changed my earrings. Yes, I have these same. I wear these one pair of earrings that I love. So today I said, you know what? I guess I have to buy new earrings. So or go in my closet and get more. So everyone, I did wear different earrings today, but remember, they're always Afrocentric because I am truly a Pan-Africanism or Pan-African, and so I am really excited about. So I have new earrings. So,
well, they're beautiful.
Well, thank you so very much. It was hard. I was like, what do I have in my closet?
Let me go shopping in my closet. More people need to do that now, especially with this inflation. We have a large inflation, the worst inflation we've had since 1982.
Oh my gosh. You're telling me every time I go to the store to buy even just food, I am so upset about how much things cost now.
Yeah.
And so it's funny. I've been recycling not only my earrings, recycling food too. Now I've gone and got all my canned goods out, and I'm like getting rid of all of that stuff. But as you know, we always start our show. We have an amazing guest on today, and so you guys will meet her, and you probably heard about her before. But remember, we start our shows off on Did You Know? We want to make sure that you get a tip of what happens historically within the African community, as well as the African American community. Now, we have a little video to show to you because every time we need to start telling our stories, our history. And so we have a young lady who I'd like you to actually see this video clipping of and tell me if you have ever heard of Claudette Colvin or Calvin. If you haven't, I want to show you this little clipping. And then we're going to be right back with our guest. But I want to challenge everyone out there today to remember, find out something new every week about a new person who we've never heard of. So I wonder, and I bet many of you have never heard of Claudette Colvin. Can we show the video clipping real quick?
That day when the bus driver asked me to get up, I had this feeling come over me. It felt like Harriet Tubman was holding me down, hands were holding me down on one shoulder, and Sojourner Truth hands were holding me down on another shoulder. And I was glued to the seat, and I could hear the white passioners saying, she gotta move, she gotta move. That's the law, she gotta move. And I felt like this is my time to take a stand for justice. My name is Claudette Colvin, and in 1955, I refused to give up my seat to a white passenger on the bus in Montgomery, Alabama, 9 months before Rosa Parks. I was 15 years old. And the rule and the segregation that a white person had to sit in front of you and you sit behind them. And so the bus driver asked me to get up. I was shouting, it's not constitutional right, so I'm not going to move. And that's when the policeman dragged me off the bus. Most people ask me, were you afraid? When I was a teenager, I was afraid, but I was more angry at these white pensioners. And then they took me and booked me. I still vividly can hear the sound of the key go, "Hurry, hurry." And then I was terrified, and I started reciting the Lord's Prayer. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And I was just praying for help, praying that they would go and let my parents know that I was in jail. My mom would say, yeah, Claudette, I think you was anointed by God to do this. I said, I don't think so, Mom. I just felt that this was not right. I just wanted people to come together and unify and fight this segregation.
Now, I bet many of you have never heard of Claudette Colvin. I didn't, and I am so glad I was able to learn about her meter. So I challenge every one of you today to go out and find someone else who also sat on a bus. She sat on the bus 9 months before Rosa Parks, but no one has ever heard of her. And she was only 15. So please, I challenge you to go out and find out who other people sat on the bus and learn a little bit about our history. So without further ado, I'm going to have my co-host, Dr. Dyer, introduce our wonderful, esteemed guest today, because I am so excited to have her back on. Dr. Dyer, will you take the realm and introduce our wonderful guest?
I will. One of the things before I read, one of my, just a dear friend she is, and she's one of the co-hosts of You Be the Judge, along with Judge Claudia Barber. One of the things that if you watch the clip again, it was about human condition. That's very important to understand what she was fighting. It wasn't just a seat. It wasn't just against something. It was the human condition. And we all have the ability to fight against human condition if we have what you call human reasoning skills. And I think that's where Marilyn Pierre comes in. It's about developing human reasoning skills and applying that to situations. Now, Marilyn Pierre is a graduate of Howard University of the School of Law and John Jay College of Criminal Justice. That means she's from the New York area. That is whoop whoop. That's right, John Jay. So Marilyn has been practicing law for over 28 years. Marilyn has she does juvenile law, she does criminal law, she does probate law. Marilyn represents her clients with cases that is just passionate. She's not just passionate because it's her clients. She's passionate because it's people. That's a difference. When people take on cases, they take it on. Obviously, sometimes it's for monetary issues. Maybe they believe in the issues, but it's about principle, policy, people. She takes people on and applies policy with her practice. It's about representing people. Marilyn is also a retired first lieutenant. That's right. Go Army, go Green, and the United States Army Reserve. She was a former court-appointed special advocate, but she was also a reserve military police. Now, I know Marilyn. I know how not tall she is. You don't want to say the opposite. I just know, and for her to command what she commanded, for what she did in the military, thank you for your service, Marilyn. It is
Yes.
not many people raise their hand and say, I will serve, and I will protect, and I will honor and defend the Constitution, foreign and domestic. Not many people take that oath. And the people that do take it, we take it seriously. Also, Marilyn is a former chair of Montgomery County Criminal Justice Coordinator, Commissioner, the legal advisor of the business professional. She has been a recipient of the Daily Record in Maryland in 2014 of excellence. So there's more. Again, it's kind of like my bio. There's more to say, but it's about the person.
Yes.
If you want to go to Maryland for circuit court judge and put in Maryland Pierre or put in pierreforjudge.com, you can read this, right? But it's not about reading. It's about not about also knowing the person, but knowing what they stand for is honesty and truth. Now we can get into that. Thank you, Marilyn, for being on. I'm so happy to actually introduce you. This is my first time. I'm so excited.
Oh, you did a great job, and I am so glad we have Marilyn on today. So, Marilyn, tell us, did Dr. Dyer leave anything out? I know he.
I left a ton out.
I know. So, Marilyn, please tell us about yourself.
She didn't you gotta hit your,
okay, you gotta unmute.
There's a mic button at the bottom. She still doesn't see it. Let's see it. Let's
Okay.
No. Nope, you turned off your camera. Shoot, she turned off her camera.
Yes, I know.
But that's so when she gets back on, this is what we'll do. Marilyn is.
There we go.
And she's still got to turn on her camera. There's a little microphone button, but there looks like a microphone, camera, and red hanging up thing. You see that? You got to click on that camera. I don't know where it is on your computer.
Well, it's on the bottom of my screen on my computer.
It's on the bottom of my screen too.
So it should be on the bottom of your screen, Marilyn, where.
Before Marilyn comes on, and she's gonna come on. This is the one thing we'll hear from Marilyn. Running for circuit court judge, or running for any judge in any county, any place in the United States, it's a great admiration, right? But you put yourself out there for a lot of people to tell lies and stories. Whoever runs for office, they really do put themselves on what you call the chopping block, right? Yes. And the chopping block, is it for who? Who's normally on the chopping block that you've noticed? Is it a person that we like? Is it a person that is good? Or do they keep trying to dig something or make up something? If it was something that came out of a closet, I get it. That's different. But when people are making up things, that's, to me, is a whole different issue. I think she's got it. Marilyn, you got it. Now she doesn't have her mic. I don't know.
No, we still can't hear from you.
You sure can't.
Marilyn, we still can't hear you. So your mic isn't on.
Well, the mic is on the computer. I don't know if no volume is on or something now.
Yeah, maybe your volume. Do you have any young people around you in that household to get you on? Because let me tell you, I always have to go to them to help me with some of this technology these days.
So as I was saying, when people are making up things, like literally making up things, what is that really called, Dr. Yvette? What do you call that really? I mean, that's not even dirty politics. That's not even dirty politics is trying to find something like what you did in the 5th grade. You remember when that judge went, and whether I care for him or not care for him, doesn't matter. But they brought up his high school for the Supreme Court. It brought up something he did in high school. Oh my God.
Right? Yes.
And I was like, okay, they went back to his high school years. As I was watching this, Marilyn, can you say something? Nope, still can't hear you. So as they brought up his high school thing, and I was watching this inquisition, as you want to call it, right? I had called a friend of mine while he was talking, and I said to him, I said, do you remember the parties we went to in high school? He's like, yeah. I said, if I ever ran for an office, I would be in trouble, wouldn't I? He goes, oh yeah, you would be. You totally would be in trouble. And I ask anyone, could someone say something about you that you did not like when you were coming up for an office or a situation? And I think that most people say they could. And that's fine. But when we talk about who is the best person for the job, that means everyone is their own personal HR. I think that's what you want to call it. You're your own personal HR. You're your own personal CEO. You're your own personal that's going to hire for your position to be your person for your job, for judgeship, or for any office. How do you hire people? Have you ever interviewed people? If you've never interviewed people and you don't know what you're looking for to be for you, then that kind of makes what you're voting for as a large task. The task that you are not fully understanding what you're obligated for. If you just don't like the way a person looks or the way they sound or where they're from, if that's how you're going to staff your company, if that's how you're going to staff your courts, if that's how you're going to staff your involvement, if that's how you say you're going to be involved, is I don't like the way she looks. I don't like the way he looks. I don't like the way they wear. I don't like who they're married to. I don't even like the school they went to. We're living in a society that's why I teach emotional education. People are living so violently in their emotional state that they're not able to make what you call rational, conscious decisions. And in those rational, conscious decisions, there's what you call a level of being. Whose being? Is it your being or my being? The level of being is for yourself or is it for the community? When you vote personally, I'm sure, but do you vote for the collective of the community? That's more important because we're here to staff people for the collective of all, not for the collective of self. Now, if you're trying to I don't know, hire someone to be your best judge because you're going to see them a lot, I guess you don't want a judge that's hard on you, right? Because you don't want to go to jail. Well, I think that's unfair for people who probably need to go to jail, who probably need to. But are you also going to vote for someone who's in the good old boys network? That's also a bad way to vote someone because you name recognition is what we call it. We call it name recognition.
Correct.
I only know them because a friend of mine knows them and they like them. What does that mean? What do you know about this person or her or him? That's not how you put someone in office, and that's not how hopefully you hire someone. You know what, Dr. Yvette? I have never in my life, I'm 54. I have never.
Oh, you're so young.
Thank
oh my
you.
goodness.
I have never been put in a position because someone liked me. Not once in my whole life. I have not gotten a job. I have not gotten a cookie because, well, maybe I've gotten cookies, but I've never held a position or gotten a job because someone says, hey, you know what? That guy, Paul Dyer, he's something else. Hire him. Have you ever gotten a position in your life?
Oh my gosh. Not just by who I am. I've had to work so hard, 10 times as hard, just to get a job and get hired. And it seems that when you think about how politics works, and this is what I've been seeing now, is who you know. A lot is about who you know, who can raise the most money. It's not about the character and quality of the person. And that's what the problem is. And no one knows judges. No one ever thinks about judges. They don't think about the judges. They don't think about Board of Education. They only think about those people who are able to get their name out there. But it's not about the character of the person. And that's what we really have to start teaching more people, to think about the character of the person who's going to be in that office. Are they going to represent you? And so we have so many. Sorry, go ahead.
But I think the question still comes back to, I personally have asked people, have they ever been hired because they knew someone that brought them on the job? And yes. and people who know me, right? Out of the many I've asked, the only people that have been hired have been white people.
Of course, and that's what's so.
It's not because I only ask particular people. I ask a lot of people, and the people I've said, oh yeah, whether it's been in high school, but I don't care what part of the arc of your life it's been. I just personally never been hired because the person was like, oh yeah, hire him because I know him. That's never been my.
That is so true. And that is so true.
And the people
for me as well.
Right, and the people I asked that said yes have only been white.
Yes, yes.
Now I want a black person to come and call inboxes, put it in our social media, and say, "Oh no, I've been hired because my blah 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 knew me and brought me in." Totally. Because then I will say, at least I met one or two or three or five, because out of the many I've asked, I'm telling you, it's been zero. And
it can't be a family business if they call in.
Yeah.
It
has
to be an organization that has no clue who you are, and they said, let's just bring you on in.
Yeah, because I like you. Because
yes.
I just find that fascinating. And people say, well, Paul, that sounds racial. That sounds biased. I'm like, biased in which one are you talking about? You're saying, well, it just sounds like you're only going to play the racial card because no one's hired you because of. I'm just saying. I'm not talking about they didn't like me because I'm black. I'm not saying none of that. It just so happens I'm black and I've never been brought on because someone knew me.
And not only are you black, you're a black male, which even has it harder than a black female.
A black
and that's
tall male.
A tall, yes. Oh my God, the taller you are, the more threatening you are as a black individual.
Right.
And it is interesting because for black women, we've had some kind of leeway, but as far as when it's compared to our black male counterparts, but that's still unfair. And when you talk about this, I think about my white counterparts who don't really believe in white privileges. They don't think they have white privileges. And that's what it all boils down to. White privileges, no matter who you are, just the color of your skin allows you those privileges.
It just allows
that we do not have.
Allows you. And that's and it's so simple and small. Allows you.
Yes.
And what does it allow? Or what doesn't allow? Okay. What it does allow, it doesn't allow for someone to have an assumption of biasness about you as a male or female in what you could do or what you could have on you.
Correct.
Just that's simple, right? Has anyone ever clutched a purse because you walked by them? I can hear a little bit.
Yes.
Hi, everyone.
I think we have Marilyn back on.
Okay.
Oh, great. So your mic is working. We thought we were going to not have a guest on today, but I'll tell you, Paul and I could have talked the whole hour.
We really could.
And I am so sorry to interrupt you because I know what you were talking about is just so important. And I have to apologize. I haven't used Skype in a really long time, and I didn't expect to have any problems with it. But as we can see, best laid plans.
So I apologize to both Dr. Dyer and Dr. Butler Yaboa, and also the Invisible Man. Sorry about that, everyone, and also the audience as well. But if we could get to it, since so much time has been wasted. I have now been practicing law for over 30 years. And yes, and so I'm still trotting right along. I'm still running for judge because I do think it's really important. It takes a lot of work and a lot of energy to run for judge, but when I think about what happens to people in court, it energizes me because some of what is happening to people should not be happening to them. Like, for instance, I was in court about 2 Fridays ago where my client lost her job because she was accused of stealing someone's purse. And the so-called victim said, I saw her on camera stealing, because they have closed circuit TV at her job. I saw her on camera stealing my purse and she should be prosecuted. I get the video, no such thing on the video. So I said, hey, you need to dismiss this case because your so-called victim did not say that she saw her steal the purse. She said she saw her on camera stealing the purse, and you have seen the video. You cannot tell me where in the video, she is seen stealing the purse. And what happens? Nope, she wants to put it what's called on the stead docket, which means the inactive docket. So like I said, zero evidence that this woman did anything. She doesn't have her papers, so she's going to have to go to ICE and fill out documentation. It's already going to be problematic that she was accused. So for her to put it on the inactive docket is like saying, yeah, I did it. But it's such a small thing. You just put it on the inactive docket and it automatically expires after 1 year if I don't do anything else. I promise not to jaywalk or spit on the sidewalk during that time, because if I do, I could be charged with littering or other kinds of things. And that will in fact bring the new case in that case. And then what are her chances of getting her papers? And so it's things like this that really wounds me up, because instead of people doing what is just, which is to dismiss the case because there's no case, because my client said all along she didn't do this and that the video would prove it, and the video did in fact prove it. But instead of doing what is just and what is even kind, you might say, they instead want to put a win in their win column, and it doesn't matter what effect that has on someone else's life. And then so that's the kind of thing that fuels me, and that's the kind of thing that I feel passionate about, and that's what energizes me to keep on going despite everything else that's been alleged about me.
Now, are you saying that the judge actually put it inactive, or?
No, it was the prosecutor. No, I got the case dismissed because my client's not going to
okay.
The suggestion that, oh yeah, you know what, yeah, and many times people go to court and that's what happens. There's no evidence, and then they're like, you know what, we could make this go away for you if you just do this. And and sometimes they're like, well, if I do this, I could walk out and I could put this behind me. And many times they cannot put it behind them because it follows them. I think the last time I was here, I might have told you about this young lady who stole something from Walmart that they were selling for $4.99. And she was convicted of a misdemeanor. And because she was convicted of a misdemeanor, she has had her bachelor's degree, but she cannot find a job because she has to click on that box. Have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. She got convicted of stealing something for $4.99 because her and her friend thought that it would be cool to do something like that. So the impact this has had on her life is incredible, because she cannot find a job, and because just the smallest thing nowadays, have you ever been convicted of a crime? Yes. And there's really not much explanation that people are willing to hear after that. And it's especially problematic for her because she graduated in a very technical field and her main employer in that field would be the federal government. And so she's just it.
Oh,
Yeah,
she's out.
and she can't get it expunged. You know, she cannot get it expunged.
So Marilyn,
She can,
here's
yeah.
I am wrestling with. We have talked about this before, and I'm telling you, this is a crocodile, is a bear. I cannot pin down, no matter how it's been done across the land against anyone.
Yes.
When someone makes an accusation, I get it. When it's unfounded, when it's found to be unfounded, there is no repercussions. Why is that? I mean, you've done the law for 30 years. You must have looked into this and say, you know, is there a way to fix this? Because people use it as a hammer, as a scalpel. They do it. They say as long as it gets put out there, that's enough, and that's unfair.
Well, you know what they say, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu, which is why it's really important to get people who are, well, who have our best interest in mind at the table. Because right now, what happens is they just put anyone at the table and say, oh, you know, trust us. These people have your best interest in mind. Well, you know, maybe you shouldn't trust them so readily. Maybe you should say to yourself, you know, what can I do to make sure that these people that you're telling me to trust actually have, you know, my best interest in mind.
Well,
And so part of it is we have to be more proactive. We have to know more about what's going on, because if we don't, our rights are the ones that are going to be, you know, stepped on.
okay, but
Yes.
we fall right into the issue of, okay, so how do we learn about stuff? Well, I listened to said talking head on said talking TV show that's supposed to be news informative, right? It's supposed to be news informative, and they're supposed to have all the data. They're supposed to have all that newsroom collecting, doing the research, verify on the show. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, you're on the air, and you have 30 people supposed to verify something before it goes on air. And guess what? We find out it's not, right?
Not
We
verified.
find out they're just pushing an agenda. We find out they have favoritism. So I work all day. I drive in my traffic. I try to get to my kids. I come home, sit down at quote the 6 o'clock evening news is where I'm going to get my information, pick up my newspaper, listen to my favorite news person, and they're not even telling the truth. So the problem is that people say, well, I don't have the time. And why would they lie?
Well, I agree. Time is, you know, limited. And so there's not all the time in the world to do all of that. However, there's some news outlets that you could get your information
I
from.
agree.
This one, for instance, you know, that's why we're here. We want
Right.
to educate people. We want to help them be empowered with information. And that's why I love the video that you showed about Miss Colvin. And I think I heard about her before, and I think the reason why they didn't go forward with her case, if I understand correctly, is because she was a teenage mom and they didn't want her to be the face of, I guess, the civil rights movement, and that's why they went with Rosa Parks. I don't know as well if you know about Irene Morgan. Now, I'm a
Yes.
huge Thurgood Marshall person. And so, because I am a huge Thurgood Marshall person, I know about Irene Morgan because he brought a case against Virginia representing Miss Morgan. And that case went up to the Supreme, same thing, you know, she would not give up her dignity, as the Honorable Carl Snowden would say. You know, it's not just her seat, it's her dignity.
Yes,
She would not
dignity.
give up her dignity by getting up from that seat. And that case, Thurgood Marshall lost because, well, like we all lost, I should say, you know, because, well, because the Supreme Court was what it was then, and you know, it is what it is now, because like I said, we don't have anybody at the table. And unfortunately, part of it is because we are busy with so many other things. But the reason why we're so busy with so many other things is because they want us to be busy, because they don't want us paying attention. And so it's like a catch-22 or a vicious cycle, because what happens is you're too busy to pay attention, and because you're too busy to pay attention, you don't do what you need to do to protect your rights. And so because of that, you're too busy to pay attention, because they do whatever it is that they want. So
It's
it's
the
a
magic
vicious
show.
cycle, and we have to stop that cycle.
Now, how do we stop that cycle? How do we stop it?
Well, I do have an answer for that.
Oh, yes, Dr. Dyer, please.
The how we stop it literally is to stop. It seems so archaic. To stop anything, you must stop moving. And then once you stop moving, your mind's gonna say, but what I gotta, and that's what you have to hold back and slow it down and put it in a line, because right now it's running like horses, free and wild. I've been teaching meditation for over 35 plus years. It's not, it's a practice, but it's a living healing practice. Healing of the mind heals thyself, right? And then your heart can be true. Most people say your heart is true, but your mind can block the heart. Now, the heart has more signal vibrations that goes up than the brain has going down, right? And we live in a vibrational code environment, universe. It's part of our how we work. And the only way to create a better vibration is to stop the old vibration, but you must stop. And people, I know people are going, well, Dr. Paul, I can't stop. I got to go to work. I got to do this. I got 9 ex-wives. I got 1,800 kids. I got 40 jobs. I got all this stuff going on, and I want to watch football on Sunday. So, and I got to get it all done. And you know what? What you're living as isn't working for all of us. And that's when we go back to voting. You're not doing things only for you. You're doing it for the collective. Like I said to Marilyn, Marilyn was a first lieutenant in the Army Reserve. Not many people raise their right hand and say, I shall, or I will, right? Insert your name and stand in that room and ready to take that oath. We have to stop thinking about what's good for ourselves and what's good for a community. Otherwise, we're tearing it apart as it is. Environmentally, civically, socially. And then if we go to a judge that is only there because his friends put him here, then he's not going to have the best interest for us as human beings.
Yeah, I wanted to get to that because I wanted to, because I was, my thought was, you say stop. We have to be like Marilyn said, at the table. So we have to put people in office that are going to make the difference.
But we have gatekeepers.
So we have to try to get rid of those gatekeepers and try to do something, because Marilyn, we need to help you help us. Because I think if you're at the table, you can help more people look at restorative justice and things like that. So Marilyn, could you tell us what we need to do? How can we
help you?
How can we change and just stop, as Dr. Dyer said?
And just like Dr. Dyer said as well, it does take a village, because it does take all of us to do that. I'm not going to get there by myself. I didn't get here by myself. And I am very, very cognizant of that. I know other people, I know a lot of people helped me to get here. And that's why I want to make sure that I do the best job that I can. And that's why I try to keep my reputation as clean as I can, because I know that there are others out there who have different ideas about where I should be. What I need from everyone is if you could go to my website, which is pierreforjudge.com. So that's PIERREFORJUDGE.com. And There's my telephone number, there's my email address, it has information about me and why I'm running and why it's so very important to, like I said, have somebody that is at the table who has your best interest in mind. Because we would be so much further along if we didn't just take people's words when they said, oh yeah, we have your best interest in mind. And then when it comes time for them to actually do what they promised to do, all of a sudden they have all these excuses. And then they come back to you again and say, oh, please vote me back in because, I have your best interest in mind. I'll do it this time. And then nothing changes. And you do have people who are there because they're watching out for other people's interests. Well, you want to have somebody there to watch out for your interests. You're not asking for any special treatment. You're just asking for the laws to be followed. You're just asking to be represented and be at the table when decisions are made, so that so that some of your concerns could be taken into consideration.
Here, Afrique Today. Listen to me. I know I'm one of your special co-hosts today, and I may piss you off. And you may not ever want to have me back on again. but I'm gonna,
no, I love it.
But I'm going to tell you something. Black people is not voting. That's a problem.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Okay, so it's a fact. Black people are not voting. Black men are not voting.
Correct.
Black women vote more than black men, and black men aren't voting. And the numbers are staggering low for both in what you call county elections, local elections, as you want to put it, and then Board of Education seats. No one's voting. Black people are not voting. Now they keep talking about the large primaries, right? Or the national. Their polls are still low in that.
Well, I want to push back a little bit on that, because when in certain neighborhoods, there are lines around the corner and people are waiting 4, 5, 6, 7 or more hours to vote. And there's some places where you just walk in, vote, and walk out. So we know the neighborhoods that those black men are likely to live in. And so they have to make the calculation. Do I leave? Do I leave early so I could vote and stand in line for those hours? Or do I pick up these extra hours because I would really like to buy my child a toy for Christmas? So those are the sorts of calculations that are being done. And I go back again to the vicious cycle. And I agree with what you're saying. Sometimes when you find yourself in a vicious cycle, you have to stop and think and then make a decision based on that. But I do want to say that there are reasons why. There are reasons why that law was passed in Georgia, saying that you cannot give somebody a bottle of water when they're standing in line. Didn't they say in Georgia the lines are like 4, 5 or more hours long? So you're standing in that line. And somebody cannot even give you a bottle of water. You haven't even crossed that part where there's no electioneering zone. So they could give you a piece of paper that tells you to vote for them, but no one could give you a bottle of water. Nobody could give you a snack even while you're standing on that line. And to be a little bit crude, what happens if nature calls? I mean, are you allowed to get out of line and go answer nature's call and then come back? Did they rule against that too?
Who knows? They might rule against it eventually, but I have someone sending in a text and they want to know. And Dr. Dara, you might want to chime in on this. What is happening right now with the media in Maryland, Pierre? Please tell us what is going on if you can.
Well, I will answer this. I'm going to jump in front of the bus for Maryland.
Yes.
Because Maryland has an attorney for the situation she's going through now, and she is not allowed to speak on it. And here's the thing. When someone makes an accusation and now you're in a court issue, right?
Yes.
They've actually silenced Maryland just by the accusation alone. Because now she can't even talk about it, whether it be a pro or con. It doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter what it is. Because if she gets caught out there saying something about something, that she'll be held in contempt. And that's the situation they hold her in purposely. And that's what I kind of said. Someone can make an accusation just to keep you quiet because now you're being held up in court saying you can't talk about this. And the reason why you can't talk about this is legal reasons. Now, after the case, that's a whole different. But after the case, there's the voting's probably already done. People have already made up their emotional mind, and that's the problem. So for the person that's asking, and thank you for asking this, and thank you for your question. What I want you to do, what I would like for you to do, great question. And I always say as a teacher, we can only teach when you ask the question.
Yep.
Right? Now that you asked the question, it's time for you to go digging. The issue is, and I'll give you the start of your dig. Here's the handle to your shovel. Someone said something that was false. It has to be proven that it was false. Until that happens, Maryland's in a gag order. That's sick and sad, right? Now,
and it goes back to the last election when they tried to do the same thing again. And I don't know what, and people, audience out there, please listen, please research. It is totally unbelievable of how the sitting judges and folks who have so-called power utilize their power for their greater good. There should be no fear of Marilyn Pierre. Marilyn Pierre will be an amazing, amazing judge. We just have to get her over that hump.
Yeah, but I think
and we have to dispel some of these things.
They don't
that
want
are
her
out there being said.
They literally do not want her in the good old boys club. It's
true.
not. It's
true.
And here's the thing: you think it's just Maryland? Time out. Start looking at other counties.
I think it's all black.
It's all judges, black judges. You're right.
Unless some white person decides they want you there.
Correct.
Because that's who actually is putting judges in place.
Correct.
Are people who do not look like us.
Correct.
So those people are putting those black folks who they feel are going to be more acceptable, just as Claudette Colvin was not acceptable to be the face of the civil rights movement.
You know who
they're putting someone in.
You know who I blame why Clarence Thomas is sitting on the Supreme Court today? You know who I blame? I actually can point a finger at a person that we call Mr. President. That is the reason why Clarence Thomas is sitting on the bench today. Because he did not do his due diligence and do what he should have done. He didn't do it. And they pressured him to say, come on, stop holding up his I blame him. That's all I'm saying. Marilyn, you can't talk about that though.
Yes, you can.
Well, and I can talk about how important those positions are, because look at the Supreme Court and look at the decisions that they're making now in reference to all sorts of topics that are going to have such great impacts on our lives. And what do we have? We don't have we don't have enough people who actually represent what we want on there. And we understand that there are lots and lots of hurdles. And yes, it's a difficult job, but we could do a little bit better. The time that it takes to watch that football game, which I hear is not going to happen this Sunday because of COVID. So I hear they postponed the football game. So this Sunday, instead, since you can't watch the football game anyway, maybe just listen to Afrique Today, look at some episodes of You Be the Judge, and educate yourself that way, because it's really, really important for you, your future, your children's future, to know what it is that needs to happen, or else we're constantly going to be stuck on this treadmill. We keep moving, but we're not getting anywhere.
And if you brought up the COVID issue and the Omicron, and people their emotional feelings about what they can be doing, what they should be doing, what they ought to be doing, and what they're not doing. People actually vote the same way.
That's so true.
People actually vote the same way. People actually vote the same way. It is difficult to believe that a person cares for humanity, community, and nation if they don't take care of their own personal health. Now, can I align that? Can I make that assumption? Actually, I could. Because if you have a hard time taking care of self and you are overrun and over ragged, what makes you think that you will vote in your best behavior, in your best cognitive way for the community when you haven't taken your own medication, when you haven't solved your own high blood pressure, when you haven't learned how to eat the right foods, when you haven't learned how to exercise, when you haven't learned how to do things to take care of yourself that keeps you around for the people that love you? Why would you vote any different if you don't take care of your life? Why would you vote for taking care of someone else's life in their community? It seems fascinating, doesn't it?
Yes, yes. I'm gonna have to pick up on some of those things you just said, because I have to do better myself then.
It's not so much. It's not. Yeah. I don't. Go ahead, Marilyn. I'm not sure if it's about being better. It's knowing what I can do.
And we're not expected to reach this level of perfection.
No.
We're just doing the best that we can. And I think, Dr. Butler, you're doing the best that you can, and you're wonderful. You're in great health. It is such a pleasure to know you and to be able to call you friend, just like I call Dr. Dyer friend as well. And thank you guys for being so supportive. But this is so important. It is not just about us. It is about doing what we need to do to move us forward. Well, it's sometimes when I look at things, it seems like we're actually moving backwards, because when you look at the statistics, we are moving backwards. And I feel embarrassed at the thought that maybe MLK will come back and Malcolm X will come back, and they will say, okay, well, Thurgood Marshall will come back and say, hey, I did all this stuff to get you here, and you actually went backwards. How does that happen? Yeah, we got so comfortable with, oh, whoa, wow, we're making it now. Look at that. And instead of coming into the back door, we could come into the front door. But so
you said the word comfortable. We have gotten too comfortable in our skin, and we don't realize that we have to continually fight. And that's something that I think people, especially African Americans, we have gotten too comfortable with the way things are and accepting the little bit we've gotten. And I've heard people say, well, we've come so far. No, we haven't come so far. Every one step we take 10 steps backwards, and we have to do better. This country has to do better. And we as Black folks, and the reason why American Africans United is here is because we need to unify as one. And in order for us to move forward, we have to be more collectively in our thought process. We have to work together as Black folks, as Africans. We have to do that. And we don't do enough of that now. So you said the word, we've gotten comfortable.
I don't know if I don't know if anyone and everyone can see it. I'm going to move to the side real quick. You guys,
we saw Marcus Garvey.
Right.
I love it.
This man, if he came back, he'd shoot us all himself.
Oh, definitely.
That's just like you don't deserve what I basically got killed to give you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is really, really sad. And I agree, we definitely need to work together. And I don't understand what it is that is in so many of our psyches, that if a certain person say it, it must be right. But if one of us says it, then there's all this question. Are you sure the sky is blue? What makes you think the sky is blue? Explain to me why the sky is blue. Whereas if somebody else says the sky is blue, oh, so-and-so says the sky is blue, the sky must be blue. you know, and we have to stop that. We have to untrain some of that training that's been given to us
The human
and
condition.
ask, why is it that we demand so much of some people and so little of others?
Well, you know, I am so sorry. We have come almost to the end of our show. We have a minute left, Marilyn. I want Dr. Dyer. I want you and Marilyn to wrap it up, and then I want our producer just to play the last clip just as we close off. But we're gonna have to have you back on. And Dr. Dyer, you have to come back on again as my co-host because I love I really love the energy that you bring to the show, and I'm excited that you're here today because
Me too.
yeah,
I'm excited to be actually introduce Marilyn. I'm telling you, I'm going to take this back to our show, You Be the Judge, which is every Wednesday at 6 p.m. I'm going to take that back. We're going to have to introduce her again and then do Judge Gloria Barbara because I kind of liked it.
We did a great job. You did a great job.
Marilyn, take us away.
I love the two of you together. I mean, I love the energy and the passion and the way you guys bounce off the ideas and the energies together. So yes, I would definitely love to see the two of you keep continuing to work together.
Well, Marilyn, take us home. We got a minute, please.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me the honor of being the guest on, Americans, Africans United, and also to our Afrique Today audience. I say, allô, ça va? Je m'appelle Marilyn Pierre, and je suis un candidat pour juge en Amérique. S'il vous plaît, votez pour moi. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Please vote for me, Marilyn Pierre for judge. I really appreciate it. Go to pierreforjudge.com for more information about me. It was such a pleasure. I love you, Dr. Butler. I love you, Dr. Dyer. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Love fest. Woo!
Yes. I want to thank my co-host today. You've been amazing, wonderful. And Marilyn, I want to thank you for allowing us to actually have you on the show today. And sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're going to have you back on because we want a full show with you because there's so much more to you than what we've been able to talk about today. So for our audience out there, please remember, if you haven't registered to vote, please register to vote. And I also don't consider, vote for Marilyn Pierre for judge, especially if you live in Montgomery County. And if you know someone who lives in Montgomery County, if you don't live in Montgomery County, tell someone you do know in Montgomery County to vote for Marilyn Pierre for judge. So we're excited because we need her at the table, not on the menu. She needs to be at the table. So I want to thank everyone again for out there watching today. I want to thank my co-host again. Marilyn, I want to thank you. And I want to give a big thanks to Afrique Today for allowing the voice of AAU to be here every Friday and to talk with you and bring you information. So can we close off the show by showing the last clipping that we didn't get to show of Claudette Colvin, so people get more information about this amazing woman who sat on the bus and we haven't heard of. Please, thank you so much. Can we show the last clipping and we'll see you next Friday.
See you next Friday.
You have heard the story, but likely didn't know this name.
A lot of accolades went towards Rosa, and nobody knew about Claudette.
Claudette Colvin was just 15 years old on March 2nd, 1955, when she refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery, Alabama bus 9 months before Rosa Parks.
When the news reporters asked me, why didn't I get up? I said, history had me glued to the seat. I said, it felt as though Harriet Tubman hand were pushing me down on one shoulder, and Sojourner Truth hand were pushing me down on another shoulder. And between these two historical women's, iconic women's, I could not move. I was paralyzed in that seat.
And largely omitted from history books despite her courage and boldness as a teen. Today, at 80 years old, she still recalls the day with clarity, remembering the exact exchange she had with the officer who tried to make her give up her seat.
And I repeat, I told her I paid my fare, and it's my constitutional right to sit here. So anyway, he yelled to the bus driver, he had no jurisdiction here. So we thought it was all over. And if he didn't have no jurisdiction here, we thought it was over with because this is a traffic patrolman. So I wasn't breaking the law, just that the white lady didn't have a seat.
The magnitude of her act of defiance didn't hit her immediately, not until she heard the lock of the jail cell.
You can hear when the keys go click, you hear that sound, right? They lock you in.
She says of sitting in that jail cell that those were the longest hours of her life. But those 3 hours would also change her life's trajectory.
I thought they knew. I thought people knew that they were people before Rosa. Her arrest record is what proved it. Because without that arrest record, you would only know of Rosa, because that was staged behind Claudette. Going to the NAACP at 15 years old, and once she got there, they said that a black girl, unwed, dark skin, could not be the face for the Alabama boys. So Rosa Parks stepped up. She was the NAACP, I think she was the secretary at the time. And she stepped up. She was light skinned, she was married, she fit the bill, she was black, and she went on the bus. Refused to get up.
Before Claudette or Rosa, hundreds were arrested for doing the same. But it was Claudette who, along with 3 other women, became the first to challenge the law in the Alabama courts. The rest is history. But what happened earlier...
Oh, it is finished. Thank you, Marilyn.
Thank you so much, Yvette. I am so sorry. I had to speak that was supposed to end at 6:30,